Hello students, today we are to see infrared spectroscopy. What is infrared spectroscopy? That we are to see, and how it is important for the identification of organic compounds. So we are to see the applications of IR spectroscopy in the identification of organic compounds. Now we have seen here the introduction of spectroscopy in the earlier lectures. Ultraviolet spectroscopy, visible spectroscopy. So what is spectroscopy? Spectroscopy is nothing but it is the study of interaction of electromagnetic radiation with matter. When electromagnetic radiation interacts with matter, matter undergoes different types of changes, and these changes are depends on the particular kind of radiation, electromagnetic radiation. Different electromagnetic radiations are having different energy content or different energy associated with different types of radiation, such as X-rays, gamma rays, then ultraviolet radiations, visible radiations, IR radiations, radio waves. So these are the different types of radiations. So the gamma rays are most energetic radiations, but the radio waves are least energetic radiations. So there are the different energies are associated with the radiations. So if you see the electromagnetic spectrum, then it is arranged as per the increasing wavelength from the left to right. If you go in the electromagnetic spectrum from the gamma rays to radio waves, wavelength increases. As wavelength increases, its energy must be decreased. So energy of that radiations decreases when the wavelength is increases. Now we have to see here infrared radiations and infrared spectroscopy, how it is important for the identification of organic compound. So infrared spectroscopy, the range is around, basically having broad range from 0.8 to 2.5, 2.5 to 15 micron, and 15 micron to 200 micron. But here this is the main IR, which is having range around 2.5 micron or micrometer to 15 micrometer. And now this correspond to wave number. If you see its wave number, then it is around 4000 to 660 per centimeter. So this is wave number, means number of cycles per centimeter. We have seen in the introduction of spectroscopy what is wave number, what is frequency. Now here this is the main region of infrared spectrum or infrared spectroscopy, that is 2.5 to 15 micron. Now how the IR spectra is recorded, or what is the use of IR spectroscopy? So IR spectroscopy is very important for the identification of functional groups of the organic compound. Now if we see the IR spectrum, IR radiations, then the IR radiations are less energetic radiation as compared to visible or ultraviolet radiations. In the visible and ultraviolet radiations, electronic excitations are taking place. But here in the IR radiations, IR spectroscopy, we have to see the vibrations of the bond. As we know, all the bonds are not here rigid in nature, they are having elastic nature. So when we bombard IR radiations on the compound, when we induce IR radiations, then bonds undergoes vibrations. So different bonds are having different vibration frequencies, or the different frequencies of the absorption. Now here we have to see how the IR radiation interacts with matter and how we can determine the structure of compound with the help of IR spectroscopy. If you see the instrumentation of IR spectrum in the brief, then the IR source is there. So IR source is basically is there of Nernst Glober. So this is Nernst Glober. Nernst Glober is made up of oxides of zirconium, yttrium and erbium. When these oxides are compressed in the form of hollow rod, and this rod is heated at around 1000 to 1500 degrees Celsius temperature. So this is the oxides of zirconium, yttrium and erbium. So these are compressed in the form of rod, hollow rod, that is heated at around 1000 to 1500 degrees Celsius temperature. It generates IR radiations. Now these IR radiations are bombarded on the sample, then it goes in the, then sample interacts with that IR radiations, and the sample undergoes the different types of vibrations, and these vibrations are basically depends on the type of bonds present in it. So each of the bond is having different frequency, different vibrational frequency. When that frequency of that bond matches with the frequency of irradiation, then it undergoes the absorption of radiation. So here then it goes to monochromator. This monochromator is having prism of the different metal halides, so such as sodium chloride, potassium bromide, lithium fluoride, so which is having the prism of metal halides. Now then it goes to the detector. So this detector is basically having metal conductors, or it is thermal conductivity detector, in which small current changes are also recorded, and then it goes to the recorder, and this recorder is here amplifier. In this amplifier it get recorded, and finally we get as a spectrum. So here we get spectrum like this. So here in this way such a kind of IR spectra we get. This spectra is having percentage transmittance versus frequency of absorption. So here when we plot a graph of percentage of transmitted radiations over the frequency of absorption, then we get such a kind of graph. So finally recorder, we are having in the recorder such a kind of graph. Finally this graph we get here, and this graph is giving us information about which are the bonds are present there, which are the different types of functional groups are present there. So this is the basically brief introduction of IR instrument, which gives us information about the different bonds present in the organic compound. Now here why to see some basic thing regarding the IR spectroscopy. So here in the IR spectroscopy, this energy is not responsible for the electronic excitation. This is responsible for the excitation from the lower vibrational energy levels to higher vibrational energy levels, because the compounds undergoes vibrations. Due to the vibrations, it undergoes changes in the vibrational energy levels. Vibrational energy levels. So compound get excited from lower energy level, lower vibrational energy level to upper vibrational energy levels, and when it comes back to the ground state, then it releases heat or energy. So in this way, this energy is only sufficient for the vibrations of the bond. So if we see the vibrations present in the compounds, now I have to see the types of vibrations. So basically two types of vibrations we get in the IR spectroscopy. One is stretching vibration and second is bending vibration. Stretching vibration require more amount of energy to stretch the bonds. What is stretching vibration? In the stretching vibrations, bonds are stretched along the axis. So the atoms are moved along the axis of bond. While in case of bending vibrations, the atoms bond lengths are remain same, but they undergoes deformation or the deviation. So the atoms are, in the stretching, atoms are moving along the axis of bond, but here in this atoms are moved out of the axis. So here atoms are moving out of the axis of bond. This is also called as deformation, because here bonds are deformed. So here it requires less amount of energy as compared to stretching vibrations. So the bending vibrations are taking place at the lower energy than the stretching vibrations. Now here these vibrations are also again classified in two types: in plane vibrations and out of plane vibration. In plane and out of plane. So which are the in plane vibrations? If you see the stretching vibration, then symmetric stretching and asymmetric stretching. Suppose if you see in the stretching, if you see symmetric stretching and asymmetric stretching. So in the symmetric stretching, suppose this is the non-linear triatomic molecule. Here these both bonds are elongated or both bonds get compressed or shortened. So we may have here this or this. So this is called as symmetric stretching, and this symmetric stretching is in plane vibration, because here if you see here the both bonds are elongated or both bonds are contracted or compressed. So here if you see, this is the molecule, here suppose this is the central atom and these are the two bonds. Now here both are shortened or both are elongated, both are shortened or both are elongated. So here this is called as symmetric stretching, but here the bonds are displaced or the atoms are displaced along the axis, so in the same plane. So suppose this is the plane of the molecule, then the movements are taking place in the same plane. So these are the in plane vibration, symmetric. And in case of unsymmetric stretching, suppose here this one get compressed and one get elongated, or this get elongated, this get compressed. So here we have such a kind of vibration. So this is also in plane vibration, because here this is suppose the molecule, here this one get compressed, other get elongated. So in this way, so here this vibration is called as stretching vibration, which is unsymmetrical or asymmetric stretching vibration. So here these are the in plane vibrations. Now again we have to see two vibrations here. One is scissoring and another is rocking, bending, in which we have to see scissoring. In the scissoring, what will happen? Here if you see the molecule, here both the atoms are coming closer to each other, and again both are going away from each other. So like this. So here this is these are in the plane, they come close to each other or they may go away from each other. So come close to each other, go away from each other. So this is here scissoring, just like a scissor. And another is rocking. So in the rocking, both the atoms are moving in the same direction. So this goes in the left side, this also goes in the left side, or this goes in the right side, this goes in the right side, but this is in the plane. So like this. So here if you see, this is the molecule here, so both goes on the left side or both may goes on the right side, but this is the plane. So in plane the bending vibration is taking place. So this is called as in plane bending vibration, which is rocking vibration. Now in the out of plane we are having twisting and wagging. So we are having two, twisting and wagging. What happens in the twisting? Here this atom is there, this molecule is there. In this comes on the front side, so we can show here this positive sign to comes on the front side and this negative sign which goes on the back side. And in the another one, wagging, so here both are going to the front side or both may going on the back side. So this symbol is just we are showing for the representation on the front side or back side. This is not here cation or anion, this is just showing on the front side or the back side. So like this. So what is twisting? In the twisting, here one goes up, one goes down. So this is twisting. And in the wagging, here both goes up, both goes down, up, down. So in this way, these are the different vibrations we can have here. These are also the bending vibrations, but here this is twisting, here the bonds are twisted, and here this is wagging, both goes up, both goes down, both goes up, both goes down. So here this is the twisting and wagging. So these are the different types of vibrations we may have in the IR spectroscopy due to the interaction of IR radiations with the matter. Now if we see the different vibrations in the IR spectroscopy, that is the modes of vibrations. If you see the IR spectroscopy principle, then it undergoes vibrations. Each bond will be having the different frequency of the vibration, and this frequency when matches with the IR radiation's frequency, then it undergoes absorption of radiation. So this absorption of radiation totally depends on the atomic masses of the bonded atoms. Suppose this is the bond in which this A and B is there. So this is depends on the atomic mass of this A and the atomic mass of the B. Again it is depends on this bond distance. So it is depends on the bond length or the bond distance as well as the atomic masses of the bond. Again along with this, it also depends on the neighboring atoms or groups, or again other effects such as steric effect, because all the bonds, similar bonds, always do not absorb at the same frequency. They may absorb at a different frequency. If OH group present in one compound, suppose ethyl alcohol we are having, we may have cyclohexyl alcohol. So in the both OH group is same, but this OH may absorb at a different frequency. One may absorb at a 3400, other may absorb at 3450. So it is not having the same exact same frequency of absorption, because it also depends on the some neighboring atoms, some other interactions, some steric effect because of the adjacent groups. So here we can have the different types of vibrations, and these vibrations are recorded in the IR spectroscopy. If you see the linear molecules such as N2, H2, then they are having only one vibrational frequency. But if you see the polyatomic molecules, so the polyatomic molecules are also having different vibrational frequency or the modes of vibrations. The linear polyatomic molecule, total modes of vibrations are thrice n minus 5. So here n is the number of atoms present there, and for the non-linear molecule, the modes of vibration are thrice n minus 6, where the n are the number of atoms. So from this we can have the idea about the how many vibrations, modes of vibrations are there in the molecule. So here in case of IR spectroscopy, we can have the different types of bonds, and different types of bonds will absorb at a different frequencies of absorption. So depends on the type of bond, depends on the its neighboring groups. So we can have the different types of vibrations, as we have seen the stretching vibrations, bending vibrations. So there are the number of vibrations are there in the IR spectroscopy. Now next very important thing in this IR spectroscopy, we have to see selection rule. What is the selection rule in IR spectroscopy? Selection rule. We have to see here which are the vibrations are responsible for the absorption of IR radiation. So there are the number of vibrations are there in the organic compound. When the organic compound subjected in the IR spectrophotometer, it undergoes different types of vibrations, but all the vibrations are not absorbing IR radiation. Only those vibrations whose undergoes unsymmetrical charge distribution. So they causes unsymmetrical charged distribution are responsible for the absorption of IR radiation. So here the vibrations which are not resulting the change in the dipole moment, which are not absorbing IR radiation. So where the mu is not equal to 0. So mu should not equal to 0. Then and then it is IR active. So in case of IR spectrum, number of vibrations are there, but only those vibrations which causes unsymmetrical charge distribution are responsible for the absorption of IR radiations. Examples such as linear molecules such as H2, N2, Cl2 does not causes charge distribution. because these are non-polar molecules, so their vibrations are also non-polar. So here there is a mu is 0, so it is IR inactive, so it is not absorbing IR radiation. So this is here the selection rule. Selection rule states that only those vibrations are absorbing IR radiations which causes unsymmetrical charge distribution. If you see the example of CCl4, carbon tetrachloride, so this is the non-polar molecule. So here all the chlorines are attracting electrons from it, from this carbon, so it is symmetrical charge distribution. Symmetrical charge distribution. So here this mu is equal to 0. So most of the vibrations of this carbon tetrachloride are having symmetrical charge distribution, so it does not causes the absorption of IR radiation. But when this chlorine is replaced by hydrogen, then we are having this chloroform. In this chloroform, these chlorines attracts electron from this. So here this dipole moment, electron density is shifted towards this chlorine from this side. So here this mu equal to not 0. So mu is not 0. So here it is having dipole moment. So most of the vibrations are having unsymmetrical charge distribution. So here these compounds are showing IR absorptions. So in this way, this is the selection rule. Here we have seen the selection rule simply states that only those vibrations which are responsible for the unsymmetrical charge distribution are absorbing IR radiation. Means all the vibrations are not absorbing IR radiations. Now the next we have to see fingerprint region. So this region is basically from 700 to 1400 per centimeter. So this region is called as fingerprint region. Why this is called as fingerprint region? Because the spectrum or the pattern of the spectrum in this region is unique for each and every compound. So none of the two compounds are having similar pattern in this region. So as uniqueness of the fingerprints, so it is also having the unique pattern in this region, hence it is called as fingerprint region. Means if two compounds spectrum in this fingerprint region matched, then both the compounds are identical. If not matched, then both the compounds are non-identical. So other spectrum or the other pattern may be matched for the two different compounds, but in this spectrum, in this region, no two compounds have the same spectrum or same pattern in this region. There are the large number of peaks are there in this region. This large number of peaks may be due to the different types of skeletal vibrations or the different types of vibrations which are not we are predicting. So there are the number of unpredicted vibrations we may have here in this region. We are not able to exactly predict the number of vibrations in that. So it is called as fingerprint region, which is uniqueness or the unique property of each and every compound. So this is also a very important region to identify the whether the both compounds are identical or not. So to check the identity, we can take the fingerprint spectra. If both are matched, then we can say it is same. If not, then we can say it is different. So in this way, this is the fingerprint region having very importance in the IR spectroscopy. And next we have to see the IR spectrum. Of few compounds. If you see the first example, benzoic acid, then benzoic acid is having structure COOH, PHCOH. Here this OH stretching frequency is having broad range from the 2500 to 3100. This carbonyl stretching frequency is around 1700 to 1720. This monosubstituted bending frequency is 690, 750. This C double bond C stretching is around 1600 to 1650. So the spectrum is having percentage transmittance versus frequency or we can say wave number of absorption. So here it is around 4000, here this is 660 per centimeter. So we can have here, this is the broad, so here this is 690, 750, we are having this around 1600, here this is 1700, here this is broad at around 2500 to 3100 per centimeter. So here this is because of the broad OH stretching frequency of this hydroxy of benzoic acid. We can have here for the benzaldehyde, if you see the structure of benzaldehyde, C double bond OH, this carbon stretching frequency is around 1700, this is around 2700, carbonyl hydrogen stretching frequency, formyl hydrogen, this is 690, 750, bending CH bending frequency for the monosubstituted. Then for the aromatic C double bond C, 1600 per centimeter. Then we can have here so here it is around 2700 per centimeter, this is 1700, this is here 1600, 690, 750. If we are having suppose alcohol such as isopropyl alcohol, now I have to see only the OH graph, so it is having such a broad peak in the range of 3200 to 3600 per centimeter. So this OH are showing very broad peak in the range of 32 to 3600 per centimeter. So here this is the nature of IR spectrum. When we plot here percentage transmittance versus the frequency of absorption, then we can get here this spectrum, such a kind of inverted peaks we are getting. Why we are getting inverted peaks here? Because we are not plotting here absorbed radiation, we are plotting here the radiations which are get transmitted through the sample. So the transmitted radiations are here we are plotting against the frequency or the wave number of absorption. So here this is the some importance of IR spectroscopy in terms of organic chemistry we have seen here. Now if you see the different frequencies of the bonds, then we are having bond or example and here the frequency. Then in the alkanes, C single bond C, alkene C double bond C, alkyne C triple bond C. Now here there is a carbon hydrogen in the alkenes and this carbon hydrogen, double bond, triple bond, double bond, single bond. Now here this carbon bond is around 1400 to 1450. Here this C double bond C is around 1550 to 1650 and C triple bond C is 2200 and carbon hydrogen is CS stretching of the alkane is around 2900. This is around 3000 to 3100 per centimeter and this alkyne is around 3300 per centimeter. When we are having C triple bond N, then it is 2250. When we are having this NH2, so this NH stretching frequency is around 3300 to 3400. When we are having OH bond of alcohol, then it is broad 3200 to 3600 broad peak we may have. For the carbonyl groups, in case of carbonyl compounds such as RCHO aldehyde, RCO R dash ketone aldehyde, ester RCO R dash OR dash ester, where anhydride RCO OCO R dash. So here this is around 1720 to 1725. Ketone is around 1710 to 1715. Ester is around 1730 to 1745. and that is around 1770 to 1800 or 1810. So here again, if we have aromatic, then it is less than this. So it is aromatic around 1700, aromatic ketone is having around 1690, so it is less than this. When we are having amide, RCONH2, then because of this lone pair conjugated with this, so the single bond character of this carbonyl is increases, double bond character is reduced, so the frequency decreases from up to 1670 to 1680 per centimeter. So the amide's carbonyl stretching frequency is less. So here this is the general idea about the important stretching frequencies of the some of the bonds present in the organic compound. Well, from this we can determine the functional group of the organic compound. Now, which are the advantages or the uses of IR spectroscopy in the identification of organic compound? One is we can identify the organic compound, we can match our spectrum with the available spectrums or the spectrums from the literature. If it is matched, then we can say our compound is the known compound or our compound is that compound. So in this way we can compare our spectrum with the spectrums available in the literature. If it is matched, then we can identify the structure of that compound. If we have to check the progress of reaction, we can also check the progress of reaction. Suppose we are having alcohol as a reactant, undergoes oxidation, gives ketone. So here this alcohol is having around 3600 and this ketone carbon is around 1700 or 1710. So this disappearance of this peak indicates the reaction is completed, or if this is appeared along with this in the reaction mass, then we can say the reaction is not completed or has not completed. So here this is the progress of reaction, also we can monitor with the help of IR spectroscopy. Again we can check the purity of this sample or the purity. If we are having the unwanted peaks along with the expected peaks, then we can say impure sample is there or the impurities may be there in the substance. So again with the help of different types of applications of IR, we can check the purity of the sample or the purity of the compound. And most important is substitution pattern in the aromatic compound. How? When we are having mono substituted compound, then 690 to 750, these peaks we are having. In case of di, then 1,2-di, that is ortho di, then 1,3-di, that is meta, 1,4, that is para. So here it is around 730 to 770, for the meta it is 750 to 800, for the para it is 800 to 840 to 50 per centimeter. So this gives us information about the substitution pattern in the aromatic system. So in this way, here these are the important things we have seen here in the identification of organic compound. So this is the importance of IR spectroscopy in the structure determination of organic compound. Here we have discussed. So in this way, here we have seen importance of IR spectroscopy in the identification of organic compound. Thank you.